Good afternoon again, and thank you, Kay. So now we are moving to the sharing the good practices in this session too. And for the first good practice, as you already see on the screen, I would like to invite Ms. Etwin Sabarini, and she is a program coordinator for Measurable Action for Haze-Free Sustainable Land Management in Southeast Asia from Asean Secretariat. So Ms. Sabarini, floor is yours, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone, both physically there and also online. As introduced, my name is Etwin Sabarini. I'm representing for Environment Division of the ASEAN Secretariat. I'm the program coordinator of a regional program that is being implemented by ASEAN Secretariat, MAHFSA. So my presentation today will be on the ASEAN Haze framework, which is an experience of open burning cases in ASEAN region. Would I kindly request the organizer to share screen for me, the presentation? Thank you so much. So next slide, please. So this would be the outline of my presentation today. I will give a introduction of the ASEAN Agreement on Transboundary Haze Pollution, and then information on the ASEAN peatland management strategy, and also the challenges and opportunities in our region. Next slide. So following severe land and forest fire in 97 and 98, the ASEAN member states signed the ASEAN Agreement on Transboundary Haze Pollution on 10th June 2002. This agreement is aimed to prevent, monitor, and mitigate land and forest fire to control transboundary haze pollution through a concerted national effort, regional and international cooperation. Through national efforts. So the agreement sets a general obligation for all ASEAN member states to cooperate, prevent, monitor, and mitigate transboundary haze pollution, to respond promptly to requests for relevant information by other member states, and to take legal actions or measures to implement their obligations under the agreement. The agreement entered into force in 2003 and has been ratified by all ASEAN member states. The area of cooperation is in monitoring and assessment, prevention and preparedness, mitigation, emergency response, and technical cooperation. Next slide, please. So the institutional framework of the ASEAN Agreement on Transboundary Haze Pollution consists of the Conference of the Parties that was established in 2003, consisting of the ASEAN ministers responsible for environment, and also the committee under the Conference of Parties that was established to assist the COP in the implementation of the agreement. The COM meets back-to-back and prior to the COP meetings. In view of the different periods of the traditional dry season in the north and southern ASEAN region, two sub-regional ministerial ministerial steering committees on transboundary haze pollution was established to address specific haze-related issues. The sub-regional ministerial steering committee comprised of Brunei Darussalam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. And for the Mekong region, comprising of Cambodia, Lao PDR, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam. So both MSC and MSC Mekong met separately on an annual basis. And each MSC is supported by a technical working group and also the ASEAN Task Force on Peatlands. So the ASEAN Task Force on Peatlands was established in 2013, assisting the committee under the Conference of Parties in monitoring and supporting the implementation of the ASEAN peatland management strategy. The main role of the ATFP is to realize the objective of the APMS through oversight of the design and implementation, as well as monitoring of ASEAN programs and other relevant projects, and also to facilitate cooperation with relevant partners. Next. So under the agreement, the ASEAN Coordinating Center for Transboundary Haze Pollution was established for the purpose of facilitating cooperation and coordination among the parties. Currently, the ASEAN Secretariat serves as the interim of land and forest fire. The fire danger rating system is an ASEAN-wide FDRS system currently hosted by the Malaysian Meteorological Department. And in coordination with the National Monitoring Center's regular situation report of specific data such as fire occurrence and impact, the air quality, visibility, and actions taken are shared among the countries. Next slide, please. So key documents in guiding the cooperation of the transboundary haze pollution are the roadmap on ASEAN cooperation towards transboundary haze pollution control with means of implementation, time-bound framework for the implementation of collaborative actions to control transboundary haze pollution, and to achieve a vision of transboundary haze-free ASEAN by 2020. The transboundary haze-free is defined as measurable improvement of the situation of regional transboundary haze pollution from forest and land fires through quantitative indicators and targets. The next document is the ASEAN Peatland Management Strategy, which covers the period of from 2006 to 2020, endorsed by the ASEAN Environment Ministers in 2006 to guide actions to support management of peatland in the region for the period of from 2006 to 2020. Following the success of two major projects on sustainable peatland ecosystem for 2014 and 2020 to support the collaboration among various stakeholders, including government, private sector, communities, and civil society. Next. In addition, the series of guidelines for the implementation of controlled burning practices were developed to provide recommendations on the implementation of controlled burning to promote sustainable forest management and environment-friendly land management and agriculture practices. The guidelines on peatland fire management provides a set of strategies to mitigate fires in peatland ecosystem using integrated fire management. And also there's a standard operating procedure for monitoring, assessment, and joint emergency response that was developed to outline the procedures for regular communication of data between the ASEAN Coordinating Center and the National Monitoring Centers. And also for coordination of requests and offers of assistance, reporting of joint mobilized resources. transboundary haze pollution. Could you go to the next slide, please? Yes, thank you. So again, the key documents in guiding the cooperation on transboundary haze pollution management are the roadmap on ASEAN cooperation that was developed by COP12 in 2006 with a vision of a transboundary haze-free ASEAN by 2020. And the goal is the regional transboundary haze pollution eliminated through intensifying collective actions to prevent and control forest and land fires. So the indicators under this roadmap would be an increased number of days having good moderate air quality, and also reduction of hotspot numbers below alert level 2 under the SOP, and decrease of transboundary haze pollution area. Next, please. So under this roadmap, there are 8 key strategy components that translate the principles of the agreement into concrete and collective actions under the roadmap. Strategy 2 supports the implementation of ASEAN peatland management strategy and the ASEAN program for sustainable management of peatland ecosystems. It also proposed actions for strategy include those to be taken at the regional level, and relevant member states should consider implementing, including within their national action plan. Next, please. So we do understand the severity of land and forest fires affecting millions of people across the ASEAN region. The ASEAN peatland management strategy. Could you, next slide, please? Next one more. Yes, so the seasonal fire and transboundary haze pollution remain a problem in ASEAN region due to its nature of complexity. The impact of climate change and global warming in the region are very real. Changing of frequency, intensity, timing, spatial coverage of hydrological, meteorological disaster add the pressure in addressing land and forest fire. So moreover, the fire in peat soils is a major contributor to transboundary haze pollution in ASEAN. Drainage and unsustainable management practice have made peatlands vulnerable to fire. Peat soil, which is comprised of partly decomposed plant materials, are easily burned, and as soon as the water is drained out, and peat fires are difficult to suppress. They're under the ground. Next, please. Thank you. So recognizing the importance of sustainable management of peatlands, ASEAN established a framework of the ASEAN Peatland Management Initiative in 2002. This promotes the sustainable management of peatland in ASEAN region through collective actions. The ASEAN Peatland Management Strategy was developed as its initial work plan to address the pressing need for a wise use and sustainable management of peatlands. The APFP project was formulated to support the implementation of the regional ASEAN Peatland Management Initiative. And the APMS, as well as the support to preparation and initial implementation of the national action plans on peatlands. This peatland management pilot activities in Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Vietnam, as well as regional activities for fire management, capacity building, management action planning, best management practice guidelines, mapping tools, and a network of demonstration and pilot sites provided the critical foundation for raising awareness and technical capabilities for integrated multi-stakeholder and participatory approach. Next slide, please. So building on the positive progress of APFP and CPIT, COM9 and COP9 meetings held in 2013 supported the development of the APSMPE, the ASEAN Program on Sustainable Management of Peatland Ecosystem. The objective of this program is to support the full implementation of the APMS with 6 key targets that is all peatland areas in ASEAN to be identified and inventorized, zero burning uniformly practiced and controlled, burning only in exceptional cases, fire-prone sites rehabilitated by focusing on root causes, the peatlands are sustainably managed and sustainable livelihoods are enhanced. Peatland conservation would also contribute to significantly reduced emissions of greenhouse gases, and also the APMS and national action plans implemented. Next slide, please. So the ASEAN Task Force on Peatlands was established on the 9th meeting of the Conference of Parties to the agreement in Surabaya. The ATFP provides oversight of the design, implementation, and monitoring of ASEAN programs on sustainable management of peatland. The SUPA project, which consists of 2 components. Component 1, next slide, please. Thank you. Maybe there's a lag due to the internet connection. Again, the SUPA program, a sustainable use of peatland and haze mitigation in ASEAN. The overall objective is to promote sustainable management of peatlands in ASEAN through the collective actions and enhancement cooperation. They have 2 components under this program. Component 1 aims to strengthen ASEAN member states to implement the APMS and the national action plans through capacity building and institutional framework. SUPA Component 2 aims to improve the non-state actors' participation, to strengthen community organization, aiming to encourage the participation of local non-government communities. The second program is the Measurable Action for Haze-Free Sustainable Land Management in Southeast Asia, MAHFSA, which I am also coordinating. The first objective of MAHFSA is to build capacity and enhance data, information, and results management system for sustainable peatland management and haze control. The second objective is to enhance the availability and usage of knowledge products for sustainable peatland and haze management. And the third objective is to enhance ASEAN regional coordination mechanism for advancing sustainable land management and haze prevention policies. Next slide, please. So MAHFSA has three components. The first one is facilitated by Global Environment Center. The output of component one is designing and developing capacity building packages for data and information collection, and also implementing these capacity building at country and regional levels for improved data and information gathering and result management. Under component two, the data, information, and results analysis strategic knowledge product development is facilitated for component is enhancement of regional coordination mechanism, which is led by Secretariat. The output we hope to have is a multi-stakeholder platform that is strengthened and broadened for regional coordination and partnership. Next slide. So other projects also include the GEF6 project on sustainable management of peatland ecosystem in Mekong countries. So this includes Cambodia, Laos, PDR, and Myanmar. The objective of the project is to sustainably manage peatland ecosystem in targeted countries and to conserve biodiversity and reduce greenhouse gases. Is achieving those objectives by assessing and documenting peatland ecosystem in the three countries, strengthening institutional capacity and enabling policy and legal frameworks, and also demonstrating sustainable peatland management practices. Okay, next slide, please. So APMS duration, as I mentioned, is from 2006 and to 2020. Last year, we had a final review of the implementation of the APMS. And this report was prepared under the guidance of the Conference of Parties to the ASEAN Agreement on Transboundary Haze. And it was supported by the SUPA project. So the report documented significant achievement that had since been made at the local, national, and regional levels. Among others, it highlighted the success implementation of the APFP, funded the GEF funded by GEF, and through IFAD and EU, EU supported CP project. The establishment of the ASEAN Task Force on Peatlands in 2013, and also the endorsement of the ASEAN guidelines on peatland fire management. So we also have the final report on this that is available also online for those who are interested. Next slide, please. So peatland and open burning in Southeast Asia. As you see in the table here, tropical peatlands in Southeast Asia is quite large. So Southeast Asia has, I think, 80% of the tropical peatlands are within this region. And with the in Southeast Asia, as Dr. Supat has also mentioned in his presentation earlier, is a contributor to the pollution in the ASEAN region. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the ASEAN guidelines on zero burning were adopted in 1999, so quite some time now, and the controlled burning in 2003. The final review of APMS findings indicate that zero burning is now strictly restricted by law for peatlands in Indonesia, and Malaysia, and Thailand. And also zero burning is mandatory for the RSPO certification since 2007. Now the figures you see here are the black carbon and organic carbon residue burning over the Southeast Asia region. Among the region, Indonesia is quite a large contributor to open burning, followed by Vietnam, Myanmar, Thailand, and the Philippines. The burning of crop residue contributes almost 80% of the total biomass burning emissions. Similarly, the crop residue burning detected from satellite account for nearly 17% of the annual fires over the northern Thailand and southern Myanmar.
Ms. Sabarini, sorry, if you can kindly wrap up in 2 minutes, it would be good because of our time constraint.
Yes. Just a few more slides. Next slide, please. I would like to share with the audience the challenges and opportunities. Next slide. Through the regional cooperation mechanism established under the ASEAN agreement, ASEAN has long committed to addressing transboundary haze at national, regional, and international levels. However, regional challenges still remain. The expansion and clearing of land for agriculture and other processes, including also drainage. Climate change and extreme droughts lead to higher temperature, worsen the dry season with El Nino, increased frequent fires. Limited information on peatland condition lead to misunderstanding in the direction of peatland management implementation. Also, low understanding and poor practice in sustainable peatland management is also a challenge. The last but not least, peatland is still not a high priority for policy and investment when it comes to national development. Next slide, please. But there are also opportunities. The opportunities for better peatland policy in ASEAN include which aim to develop a comprehensive strategy plan for the continued full and effective implementation of the agreement. Development of the new APMS, which aims to provide a consolidated regional strategy for sustainable management of peatland. Also, the development of a 10-year investment framework for haze-free sustainable land management supported by MAHFSA will to finance and mobilize the necessary resources for implementation of the agreement. And current cooperation with the ASEAN peatland partners and further cooperation we look forward through dialogue and development partners. So there are opportunities for the near future. I would like to move to conclusion here. Tropical peatlands cover about 10 to 12% of the world total peatland area and stores about almost 200 billion tons of carbon. Degradation is releasing an estimated 800 million tons of carbon per year. That is affecting more than 50 million people in the region. The APMS is very relevant to UNFCCC efforts, as peatland globally are the most important terrestrial carbon stores on Earth, which stores about 25% of soil carbon and more than 50% carbon that the biomass of all the world's forests combined. In ASEAN, peatlands are also the largest terrestrial carbon store. The management of peatland is also critical to reducing greenhouse gases. All of ASEAN member states are party to the UNFCCC, and peatlands have been recognized in national reports and strategies related to UNFCCC. Next slide. This would be almost last. So the way forward here is AMS provide inputs to potential national level goals in relation to the 25 APMS operational objective. The APMS conclusion and proposed recommendations were derived for four main perspectives, mainly regional approach, national actions, stakeholder engagement, and sustainable peatland management approach. Further action to determine the exact extent and current status of the peatlands at national and at the national levels of 9 AMS. So development policies and regulations for peatland management, integrated management of peatland, and also best management practices and financing the actions. So these are the recommendations from the and priorities for way forward. And last slide, next, the ASEAN Haze portal is established as an ASEAN knowledge management platform for unsustainable peatland and haze management that facilitates networking and knowledge sharing among policymakers and other relevant practitioners. It is enhanced as a knowledge repository and also a collaborative tool. So you are all welcome to take a look. The URL is hazeportal.asean.org. Thank you so much.